Delirium got off to a shaky start, but if you gave up on this league early on, I heavily suggest you give it another look, as the recent changes GGG has made might make this the best league for farming currency for the average player that we have ever seen, and not by doing anything special, just by playing the game. However, with a few simple additions to your farming, you can rake in absolutely massive amounts of currency. I'm Big Ducks, and in this video we're going to talk about how the new Delirium changes are going to allow anybody that wants to farm insane amounts of currency, uniques, and other drops at any stage of the game and at any skill level. Now, remember to like the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget the bell as well for notifications if you want to see the latest tips, tricks, and guides for PoE, as well as some other ARPGs in the future. Now, I've been holed up in my house. I'm trying to be socially distant and, not spread this horrible thing that's been going around all over the place, and that's left me a lot of time to play Path of Exile. Not that that's really much more different than normal, but I've been streaming most of it over on Twitch at twitch.tv/BigDuck. So make sure that you follow me over on Twitch to know when I go live and you can come hang out with me and the boys. What I've started to realize with the new changes that GGG has put in is that Delirium is shaping up to be an absolutely fantastic league. I know that it got off to a rough start, and I more than anyone was critical of GGG, but thankfully they have made the updates that we've asked for, and they've made it so that you don't just get randomly one-shot, the mobs aren't immortal anymore, and it's really starting to look pretty good. And the coolest part about all of it is you don't need anything special to utilize the info that I'm about to give you in this video. You can be any level of skill, any level of gear, and you can still take part in getting tons of currency through Delirium. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So if you've played Delirium before the changes, you'll know how most of the systems work. You run through the mirror, spawn a bunch of monsters, kill as many as you can to fill up the meter on the bottom left, and you get your rewards. However, with the new changes that GGG has provided, we now have additional time to interact with all league mechanics such as incursions, blight, essence mobs, and legion stones, as well as they made the rarer reward types much more common and adding additional tiers of rewards as you move deeper into the Delirium. To best utilize this guide, I suggest you choose a build that has excellent clear speed, such as Essence Drain Contagion or Cobra Lash, both of which you can find guides for in my Delirium starter builds video, which will be linked at the top right now. However, you can still use any build you like as long as you follow the methods that I describe in this video. So one of the things that I hear most from my community over on Discord, which you should join by the way, link down in the description below, is that they feel so absolutely rushed to just get all through the Delirium mechanic, get as many monsters killed as they can. They really just aren't having fun with it. And while I sympathize with that, I think some people are really focusing way too much on attempting to go as far as they can, as quickly as they can, with no real goals in mind for what they need to be doing. And while it is ideal to clear the entire map if you can, you really don't have to just be able to farm insane amounts of currency. You really don't have to clear the entire thing. You really don't have to beat yourself up and try to kill every single monster in the map. You can still make good currency no matter what level of skill that you've got. But before we get into that, the first thing you're going to need to actually know is what you're doing. So the very first thing that you should look out for when attempting to maximize your Delirium profits is the map layout that you're selecting. The recent changes have heavily nerfed the amount of health and damage scaling that monsters get later into the Delirium. So the absolute best map layouts are ones that are either very long and linear or very wide and open. Think maps like Beach for linear ones and Dunes for open maps. Closed off or labyrinth maps are going to heavily frustrate you if you attempt to fully clear them, as the Delirium doesn't really care about walls, it just goes outwards at a standard pace, so stick to linear and open maps. The next thing to understand is how Delirium mobs actually spawn. This is one of the most confusing aspects of the entire league, but to get the most spawns possible, you have to do two things. The first is to make sure that you are walking over top of every single area in the entirety of the map. Delirium mobs in normal maps will most of the time only spawn after you have walked through that area, so make a note to zigzag back and forth through a zone to spawn these enemies and then come back to kill them after they've spawned. In addition, you will see many different types of environmental objects that have varying effects, and this is the second way to maximize your Delirium kills. So the striped melon-looking orbs will spawn weak Delirium mobs that are easy to kill. The bulbous orbs with no stripes will spawn heat-seeking death missiles that are the bane of any and all melee builds and should be avoided at all costs. The third is a kind of big gem-looking formation that houses stronger Delirium mobs, and they are the main source of extra monsters you will find while mapping. Everything else, as far as I'm aware, either does nothing nothing or very little at all. But if I find out more about this, I will let you know. So as a quick recap, striped melon's good, no stripes bad, gem looking one's good, everything else mostly irrelevant. The next thing to talk about is what your goals should be while you're actually clearing through the Delirium. Now obviously, killing mobs and picking up loot is the end goal, but what else is there to look out for? In general, now that we're allotted additional time to do old content, I would say the most important things to look out for are Legion Stones, Blight Encounters, Incursions, and beyond, in that order. Everything else is still worth doing, but these encounters are a huge source of Delirium bar progression, as well as drops. If you're particularly looking to maximize the amount of Simulacrum shards that drop, the major sources of these are boss monsters of the maps and the two unique Delirium mobs that can spawn, Onomatopoeia and Mental Psychosis. Recently, these bosses have been heavily nerfed, so if you see them spawn, you may actually be able to kill them this time. But that doesn't exactly hold true in the Simulacrum though. They're still pretty damn busted in there. Kosis in particular has just been one-shotting me with every single ability when I meet him in Wave 20 of the Simulacrum.
Maybe you should try playing a build with some defenses on it instead of just going for glass cannon meme builds all the time.
No. Also, where is that voice coming from? I think this whole social distancing thing is starting to actually kind of make me lose my head, because I think I'm starting to hear things. Now onto the important stuff, where and what to actually do to maximize your profits. Now I've been doing some testing, and you can make solid amounts of currency almost anywhere and at any skill level, be it Harbor Bridge farming, tier 1 white maps, or juiced up T16s with Delirium orbs. You can make currency doing all of these things. If you're just starting out in Path of Exile and you're just hitting maps and want something easy to help you get a bit more money for gear to smooth out that difficulty curve, then Harbor Bridge is actually a solid spot to farm, no matter how much the naysayers are saying it isn't. The goal here is just kill as many monsters as you can and run through the entire zone, with your only goal being to fill up the bar at the bottom as quickly as possible, and then repeat by exiting the zone and holding control while clicking the entrance to make a new map. Now, if you're a bit more experienced, you can upgrade to farming low tier maps for Delirium rewards. The same concept applies, but try to focus more on clearing through the map with efficiency and not attempting to kill every single monster. Maybe 80% of the map, as your main goal should be making it to the boss in time to kill them for the additional Simulacrum shards. Now, for advanced players, one of the absolutely most lucrative options, if you're able to handle high tier red maps, is to utilize the Delirium orbs you start seeing drop towards the end of the game. These orbs provide a much different Delirium experience to the standard open portal, run as fast as you can, kill everything like a madman. With Delirium orbs, the entire map is set at a certain amount of Delirium, and as you fill up the bar and reach each threshold, an explosion of loot happens. You also are much more likely to see your boy Onomatopoeia or Psychosis here, and if you choose the right Delirium orbs, you can make some serious bank. Probably the most lucrative option out of them is the Skittering Delirium orb, which drops scarabs, but people are starting to catch on to this, and the price is going to go up, so do it now while you can. The amount of gilded scarabs that drop from this is actually insane, so if you can get on this before the price skyrockets, I highly suggest it. Some other ones to look out for are the Fine Delirium orbs that drop currency, the Blighted Delirium orbs for blight maps and oils, and the Cartographer's Delirium orb to help sustain your high tier map pools as well as drop unique maps. Now, that being said, all of the Delirium orbs are actually worthwhile because it isn't just the fact that you get specific currency, it's that it heavily increases the mob density, pack size, and the amount of items that drop in the map in general. And the fact that you aren't racing against the clock and can take your time if you want to, which is so much nicer than the stand-up Delirium mechanic. Now keep in mind, the more that you invest into rolling these maps to be insane, the higher your profits are going to be. So make sure that you do your Delirium orbs first, and then you chisel, alch, vol, insert map fragments into the map device, use your master missions and the Zana map mods, as well as maxing out the sextants for the region that you're running when you're using these Delirium orbs. I'll report back probably sometime next week with an update on my findings about these orbs as I learn more, but take it from me that they are absolutely nuts when you put a little bit of investment to them. So make sure to let me know in the comments how much crazy loot that you found from Delirium and some of the tips and tricks that you've got, because I'm always looking to learn. And also, don't forget, if you want to come hang out with me and the boys from day to day, come and join my Discord, it's linked down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you guys next time with another video.